So, you want to create your content in a streamlined manner. Let's jump into the 5 steps to building a content creation framework. Conceptualizing content, planning a timeline, creating a workflow, reviewing and editing content, and organizing and storing content. When conceptualizing content, the first step is coming up with appropriate ideas for your content offers. A content offer is something you create and publish in exchange for personal information like a name and email address. Struggling to generate content ideas? Do some online research like reading blogs related to your industry or checking out content marketing survey results. Another option is to write down frequently asked sales questions or important industry knowledge that would be helpful for your target market to know. If you're looking for a list of ways to generate meaningful content ideas, check out the resources section below. As you gather ideas, focus on creating content for every stage of the buyer's journey: awareness, consideration, and decision. In the awareness stage, a prospect is experiencing and expressing symptoms of a problem or opportunity. They're doing research to more clearly understand, frame, and give a name to their problem. They're looking for educational content to help them answer some of their questions and concerns. Think blog posts, ebooks, social content, and how-to webinars. In the consideration stage, a prospect has clearly defined and given a name to their problem or opportunity. They're committed to researching and understanding all available approaches and methods to solving their problem or opportunity. Create content that positions you as an expert in your industry. Demo videos, case studies, and FAQ articles are great resources to build relationships with readers and establish trust between your audience and your brand. In the decision stage, a prospect has now decided on their solution strategy, method, or approach. They're compiling a long list of all available vendors and products in their given solution strategy. They're researching to trim down this long list into a short list and ultimately make a final purchase decision. And that final purchase decision could be you. So provide them content such as free trials, consultations, and articles that provide education on your products or services. For more detail about the buyer's journey and creating content for each stage, check out the resources section below. Now, back to building a content creation framework. Step 2 is planning a timeline. When putting together a timeline, keep in mind that you'll want to maintain agility while still having time to execute on your initiatives. When planning content creation over the span of a quarter, try to have at least 2 or 3 content offers you want to create and organize your content by buyer's journey stages. Keep your goals in mind here. Is the focus for this quarter improving volume of leads? Is it increasing the close won rate for your sales team? Is it growing blog traffic? Use your goals to determine what content you need to focus on. From there, map out what content you need and when it needs to be live. This will give you a sense of the resources you'll need in-house to create this content yourself. You can also use your goals to decide if you need some external help from freelancers. In addition to planning out your content offers, identify any company-wide initiatives that will need support from content over the next 3 months. Examples of additional content are posts on events that you'll be attending, rebranding information, and new corporate partnerships. The third step is creating a workflow. In the context of content creation, a workflow is an intuitive breakdown of the content creation work. It consists of the sequence of steps a piece of content moves through from its initial creation to publication. Your workflow should clearly identify who will do what. It should also identify if outside influencers or freelancers will be contributing, and if so, in what capacity. Because there are multiple components involved when creating a piece of content, you'll want to get pretty granular with your steps, even if you're a team of 1. This way, as your content grows over time, you'll have a clearly defined workflow to use when adding the resources you'll need to create more content at a fast pace. For example, instead of having written, edited, and published as the work stages for an ebook, you might have something like outline completed, first draft completed, editing completed, design and formatting completed, final draft completed, and published. Here's a pro tip. Think about how you created a piece of content in the past before you had a content creation framework. Consider what went well, what roadblocks you hit, and what you'll need to work into your process to avoid these roadblocks the next time around. Document your thoughts and create a workflow based on that. You can always change your workflow steps as your content evolves. This brings us to the fourth step, reviewing and editing content. You need a reviewal system in place so that your content is accurate, well-written, and aligned with your brand. Depending on your team's setup, this review process could involve working with an in-house or freelance editor and having an SEO specialist format and update the content. In the review process, follow these 7 best practices. Set clear expectations, define roles in the review process, determine a timeline, use a style guide, track edits, manage progress, and optimize for search engines. Let's dive into each of these in more detail. Set clear expectations. The reviewer should know what they're looking for: grammatical errors, fact-checking, story gaps, wordsmithing, and more. Define roles in the review process. Each person should know what they need to do and when. Maybe you have a developmental editor looking at your content's overall focus and structure before a copy editor goes in for more detailed edits. Or maybe you have a single editor reviewing everything. Whatever your team looks like, clearly defining who does what will eliminate chaos and keep things on track. Determine a timeline. With so many people involved in publishing content, set due dates in a high-level timeline so that each person is held accountable for their contribution. In many content environments, one missed deadline affects everyone's work. To keep your team agile and conscious of their deadlines, share a rough timeline with the team, get everyone's buy-in, and then finalize it. Use a style guide. Your content needs to be consistently authentic, well-written, and aligned with your company's brand, even among various writers with different writing styles, skill levels, and voices. A style guide is that common thread all content reviewers can use so that their edits establish consistency across a diverse group of writers. For information on how to create a style guide, check out the resources section below. Moving on to the next best practice, track edits. Whether you have one editor or multiple editors, have your content reviewers make suggestions by tracking changes as opposed to making edits directly. This way, the content creator knows where to make changes as opposed to figuring out what was altered. Next, manage progress. Use some sort of document like a project management software to track progress. This document should reflect the roles, timeline, and deadlines you've determined for your review process. Since you could have a team of people working together on a final product, tracking the review progress provides transparency across the team and keeps all stakeholders on the same page. It also allows for agility so that you can remain flexible and adjust deadlines if need be. Here's a pro tip. If you're looking for a place to start, consider using Trello. It's free and, more importantly, Trello makes collaborating with others easy. And finally, optimize for search engines. You put a lot of effort into creating your content, so you want your audience to find it in their web searches. After your content is created, do some spot edits to search engine optimize your content. This could involve swapping out some keywords or maybe having an SEO specialist optimize specific sections. So that wraps up reviewable best practices. The 6th step in building a content creation framework is organizing and storing content. Once your content is done, store it in a centralized location where your team can access it, like Google Drive or Dropbox. If you have a content management system, also known as a CMS, then you could choose to store it in there as well. Organizing your content in a way that's easy to understand is critical for repurposing, reusing, or even finding that content down the line. One way to organize your content is to develop a clear naming system. A sample system could include content format, buyer's journey stage, campaign, and year. For example, let's say you developed an awareness stage ebook back in 2015 to support a campaign for a new product launch on rock climbing gear. Your name for the content offer could be ebook, awareness, rock climbing gear 2015. While you can choose a specific naming convention formula for hosting your files, the goal should be to easily access files when needed. Keep in mind, your content creation framework should always be evolving. Your business's goals will vary from quarter to quarter and year to year, so your content creation framework should align with those changes. On top of that, content marketing is always changing. Stay up to date on industry trends and best practices so that you can incorporate them into your framework.